So anyone who is watching this back, you will have seen Ali, you will have seen either the rope challenge, the deadlift challenge, all the stuff that he's been doing with obviously the Weekend Warriors and myself, and just in general, the man is being a hero over the last sort of 8 months. So what I wanted to do, Ali, is just cover all of the last 8 months and talk a little bit about your journey. But for anyone watching this, how would you describe yourself, Ali? How would you describe the man, the myth, the legend? I remember we did this before once, or a similar thing. And it was like a ginger. I can't remember what he said, but yeah. How would you describe you, dude? How would you describe you?
I think the initial assessment I gave was ginger maniac on 2 wheels or something along those lines. But yeah. Pardon?
I thought that was brilliant. I remember that, and I was like, that's brilliant. But yeah, how would you describe yourself, buddy?
Right now, it's, best way to describe it is still that. Ginger maniac on 2 wheels, but a lot physically stronger, a lot more physically confident, and mentally confident as well. As for work, just steamrolling work, just getting through it, getting it done, not holding back or anything like that. So sort of getting things done the way I want them to be.
Boom. I love that. That's a lot we're going to go into in a minute. But looking at that, dude, like before you joined the Warriors, the Weekend Warriors, but also the actual Warriors program that we run, what was life like for you? So looking at 2020 particularly, obviously, that was the pandemic. That was maybe, everything going a bit haywire. What was life like before the Warriors, buddy? What was life like before the program?
Start of 2020, just obviously it was a very shit year. Being locked away in the house pretty much the entire time didn't help. And the fact that it stopped basically every industry there was made it worse for me, because being a coach, I needed to be talking to people, teaching people in person. So not being able to actually do that meant I had no income. So basically just relying on my parents to help me get through the year, which I hated, because it just made me feel bad about myself. And then, the fact that I wasn't able to do the things that I'd usually go out and do as much really just affected the mental health really badly. Yeah. Just sent me into the gutter is the best word.
I completely.
But yeah,
I have admiration for that and relate to that, because it's like we've talked about it so many times, haven't we? When you knock someone's normal routine and you kind of push them into their own head, and then you just get into this like vicious cycle, don't you, of kind of short-term comfort and all these things happening. And a lot of blokes are going to relate to this over either 2020, or even some lads are going to continue with that chain in 2021, because once you're in that routine, it's quite hard to get out of it. And, like we say, where was your confidence? Where were you physically and mentally? What was the position you were in, in that state, really, mate?
As I say, it was in the gutter is the best way to describe it. Physically, mentally, just felt drained all the time. The work ethic was non-existent, basically. And the fact that I was at uni at the time and I was doing my dissertation just made it that much worse, because it just meant I was doing a dissertation all the way through a pandemic, thinking, Jesus Christ, I don't really want to do this.
Yeah, fair one. I think, like you say, that when you're not confident in yourself or your body or your own abilities, it will leak into so many other areas, whether that's university, whether that's studies, whether that's your work, whether that's your family, your girlfriend, your partner, whatever. It's always going to happen, isn't it? And that was kind of the effect of that, wasn't it? It was just draining your energy. And obviously we had quite a good conversation, and we talked through a lot of these problems, and then we obviously jumped on a call and we really talked through these problems. And I remember there was a lot of stuff that you were really, it was quite eye-opening for each of us. I think there was a lot of stuff that you told me that you may have never told anyone else, and you really had struggled with. And a huge thing was relating back to that identity, wasn't it? I remember you said to me quite often, it was you'd created an identity of you and in your friendship group of who you were, and that was who you cemented in your mind. And was that the reality? Just so I don't want to talk for you, Ali, but was that the reality, mate? Was that reality?
Yeah, no, that was very much the reality. I'd cemented myself as being the skinny string bean, weak one of the group kind of mentality. So really didn't help having that as my.
And it's hard, isn't it? Once you're in that headset, lads will say, sometimes it's I'm the chubby one of the group, and they just adopted that position. Or like you said, in your case, it'd be, I'm the skinny one of the group, and you just adopt that position. And it's like, well, no, you're not that. You are Ali. You are the person. You can be who you want to be. It's just a case of, pushing forward and not deciding that's the destination that you're sticking at. And, the first 90 days of the program, what happened? What was life like for you as we went through that plan, education, accountability, community support? What was life like for you, Ali?
It was a weird change. Like, as I say, 180 on everything that I'd done prior to that. So starting as a smaller version of myself and then finishing off being able to bench press nearly double what I used to be able to. I could barely pick up a 20 kg bar and bench it at the beginning. And now I can bench 55, 60 casually. So I was like, okay.
What you look like you did is it basically was in the first 90 days, and don't take this as a joke as it's meant to be. It looked like you got hold of, at the end of the 90 days versus the start of the 90 days, you got hold of 3 of that bloke and just ate him. And then we're like, right, I'll absorb this other Ali and just build this. And obviously your transformation picture showed that. But like, mate, yeah, it's awesome to watch. And for that, like, you know, you hadn't been able to gain that muscle mass. You hadn't understood what to do. What did that suddenly, when you were able to actually achieve it, do for your confidence, mate? What did it do for you mentally to be able to be that aspiration that you wanted?
I think it boosted my general confidence and work mentality overall, because the moment I realized that actually, you know what, it is possible to go from being small and lean to actually semi-muscular in some sense. Yeah. I was like, oh, right, okay, so I can do that. So why can't I do this? What's the problem here? So it just put that work ethic into place. And I was just like, right, okay, no excuses now. I've got to get it done.
Particularly because I know at the moment we're on the road to a 200 kilo deadlift. At the moment, what was the reality when you first started that to now? So say like the first day of the 90 days, deadlifting, maybe not sure of yourself, you know, still relating to that skinny identity versus what happens now when you walk into the gym or you walk into that environment? What do you feel like at the minute?
Well, when I started out, as I said in one of my original videos, was 60 kg was a struggle for me. Yeah. And at the beginning of the 90 days, I just thought, no, I'm not going to get much more than 100, I don't think. And then by the end of October, I'd already done 140. I was thinking, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So
it's like, I think the thing is with that.
I think the best way to...
Go on. Oh, sorry, go on. No, go on.
Yeah, so... Sorry, my phone's a bit laggy, so it sometimes cuts out. But yeah. Every time I walk into the gym now, when I meet some of the guys that work up my local, they just say, so what's the deadlift today? I was like, I'm going to take it easy for a few days after doing that.
Yeah, brilliant.
So I think it's definitely cemented me as the
deadlift king. I think it's so true though. Like I pulled, so obviously, you know, I think you know this anyway. Like halfway through this year, I pulled 200 kilos myself, and like the road to that, it does take quite a bit. But like you say, like that jump from 60 to 140 was so impressive because I think the biggest thing is that you held an identity physically and mentally every time you walked to the bar. So that it wasn't just the physical strength that we actually improved, was drilling the movement, the conditioning sessions, all that sort of shit. It was the mentality that you had when you were picking the bar up was completely different, because it was, like you said there, it was, what's the problem here? Why can't I do this? Of course I fucking can. I've done X, Y, Z. I'm not holding that old Ali. Which I found massive, mate, which has been amazing to see. And looking at as well, like, you know, all the other stuff you've now done with the last 8 months, what's the reality for, you know, previously maybe struggling mentally, maybe struggling physically, and being, you know, identifying as the skinny version? What are you now, 8 months later? What do you feel like the reality is for Ali, the man, the myth, the legend? What are you now? What would you identify as? What's the reality for you, buddy?
So still the ginger maniac on 2 wheels, but significantly stronger, way more outgoing, a lot more confident, and just, it sounds sort of stereotypical to say, but grabbing life by the balls and sort of say, nah, it's mine, thank you.
Yeah. Yes. I like that. It's mine, thank you. Not like, oh fuck, like, mate, I like that. It's brilliant. And looking at the program, so inside the Warriors, we've also got 5 keys that we really focus on: plan, education, accountability, community support, to build a robust body, unstoppable confidence, and a thriving life. How has this done that? Because a lot of lads are going to go, right, I've seen a lot of your wins, I've seen a lot of these case studies, I'm really intrigued at, how does this fucking work? Like, how do you actually make this happen? Like, how does it work for you, mate? What would you describe about the program, really?
I'd say it's sort of an equal balance between both you as the individual and the actual program itself, because the program's not a spoon feeding situation. It's not going to teach you, teach you. It's not going to hand you the solution on a silver platter. It's going to tell you what the solution is, and it's going to show you how you can get to that point. But it's how you execute it. That's the process that allows you to get to that point.
Yeah. So I think the way to describe it is, I will lead you to the water. If you fucking drink, because I've told you where the water is that's safe to drink and where it is to actually drink that will work, that is down to you. If I lead you to the water and you go, oh, I can't be asked today, or whatever, it's like, well, that doesn't work. Okay, like you say, it's going to give you the tools, it's going to give you the strategies, it's going to give you the focus, and you will get a result if you fucking run at it and you're committed and you're willing. And we'll support you if you're not, but only if you're not in that headset of a victim. You have to be in the hero of, I'm going to fucking learn or win. And that is it. There's no lose. You know, we all talk about that, don't we? That's a big mantra. But how do you rate the education, the support, the community, you know, accountability? How do you rate everything? What's your description of what we do?
Well, simple way to put it, it's fantastic. Having the community there for the start is game changer, because obviously the processes are long, they're arduous, and they take a while, and they are mentally taxing. So having that community there just as that extra sort of layer of support, sort of saying, hey mate, keep going, you've got this.
Yeah.
It really boosts your confidence in just getting things done. Like when I was sat at 140, I plateaued for about 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
And during that process, it doesn't seem that long, but it felt like a very long time because of it.
Yeah.
And the moment I mentioned it to you and the guys, everybody's just like, no, you've got this. And then within a couple of days of that happening, I did a 150 for multiple reps just casually. And I thought, right, I've got it.
I've got it. It's true. Yeah. And it's like, it's just that road. And I think it's so true. Like when you're only listening to your own thoughts and your own beliefs, I think that just does happen. I think a huge reason, and I've sort of thought about this over the last year with myself, having, you know, 3 coaches myself and all the people that helped me, is that the people you speak to and the content you consume is suddenly who you develop with and become. So you identify with that version because you no longer think about all the other shit that you were consuming before. So it's exactly who you're going towards. You know, people say the expression, you are what you eat. I think it's actually wrong. I think it's you are what you consume. And therefore that identifies who you believe with. So suddenly, like you said, when you're around these type of people, obviously I know that, you know, you're quite a big fan of Battle Ready Fuel, Battle 360, all those type of people. Like, how do you find it having those types of people involved in your coaching? Such as, obviously, I know, you know, the lads are watching us now. We've got Ollie Ollerton coming in on Thursday. How do you find it with having those types of people? I know you were there for Katie Parrott, I believe, Chris's talk, Stu's talk. Oh, fuck it. Mate, I can't even name them all. I wouldn't even be able to remember them all. How do you find it having those people help you, buddy?
I think it's as with the community, it's just that extra layer of motivation, because it's not just a case of saying, oh yeah, these guys are what you want to aspire to be. They're actually actively getting involved with the process. So they're not just sort of sitting behind the screen and going, yeah, well done. They're actually coming and talking to you and actually giving you an insight into what you can become if you follow like what you want to do.
I think
so. Like David within Eureka, it was quite handy to have him sort of give his insight. Yeah, absolutely brilliant, and it was just a lovely way to get sort of a good visualization on what you want to achieve.
I think a huge thing with that, like you said, is that it's not people coming in and just blowing smoke and being like, oh, it's all fine and it's easy and you just fucking lay out a red carpet and go. It's like, no, look, this was fucking nails. This is the hardest part of like I've had to go through, but the way you go through this, and it's coaching you and conditioning you, really, isn't it? To not think, right, well, this is going to be simple and easy. It's going, how do we get from point A to B and reset that aspiration? And mate, like looking at your future now, you know, how do you find life is going to end up being compared to what state you were in, you know, in 2020, really? What's the future for you now, Ali? What does life feel like? Grabbing it by the balls with no excuse.
Significantly better is significantly better is probably the easiest description to give it to it. Overall, just in every sense, I'm feeling a lot more motivated to get work done, both in uni and outside of university. And then in terms of like progression within the gym, it's just going absolutely brilliant. And it's just sort of looking towards where I can go with my options within the future. So obviously, as I mentioned, the Royal Marines an option. Yeah. But because I'm also a coach myself, there's also the idea of potentially specializing as a mountain bike coach within the army in some fashion. Yeah. Providing my own sort of coaching services to those that want it in the army.
Adventure training instructor would be pretty epic, to be fair. If you end up going from that position where you're not really sure of yourself to a fucking adventure training instructor, that's epic, mate. That's fucking life-changing. On that note, actually, would you say the last 8 months, even the first 3 months, all the stuff we've taken you through, would you say this has changed? Would you say it's just changed your life, Ali?
Yeah, no, it's no better word for it. Changed everything about it.
Any of the lads who are currently watching this and they're procrastinating, they're worried about investing themselves, they're worried about taking action, just fucking putting all these reasons of why not to do it in front of themselves, what would you say to them so they can get out their own way?
I'd say just it's difficult to get out of that system of putting yourself down and going, oh, do I really want to wake up at this time? But it's the best thing I can say is just get your mind to go, no, we've got to do this.
Yeah.
Make it feel as if, not life or death, but make it feel as if it really means something if you got out of bed at 6 a.m. and went for a run. Yeah. Or if you did that thing by eating a freshly made meal instead of like McDonald's or whatever. Just say to your head, do it. Just do it.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. Like you say, you've conditioned yourself part of the program. And any of the lads who are like kind of looking at joining, but financially they're maybe stopping themselves doing that. I know we you really fucking made sure you could make this happen. Like, would you say the investment is worth taking for what it's given you back for your life?
Absolutely. I struggled financially initially because it's a fair amount of money, and I was like, oh. But after the first like 90 days, I was like, it was totally worth it. Yeah. I've completely U-turned on everything that I was. I'm no longer what I was. I'm now completely different.
I remember like I'm very open with you guys about what I invest in my coaches, whether that's Phil or all the other lads that help me to either structure what we deliver or the guest speakers or just fucking everything. So like, obviously, well, to be really blunt, it's like tens of thousands like a year. And I think it's like you say, like you understand now why, don't you? You go, fucking hell, I'd rather pay that and actually get the result than I would just carry on going down the same road. But on that, dude, any of the lads who are watching this and they kind of still are a bit like procrastinating or they're not sure, if they want to speak to you about the program, is that all right?
Yeah, totally fine. They just need to message me, say, look, is it worth it or anything? Just drop me a message on Insta or Facebook or wherever you can get hold of me, basically.
Because I think that's a huge thing for me. I quite like if they're going to join the Brotherhood, they're going to they're going to be involved with you massively anyway. So I always like the fact that it's like, if you want to come speak to me and speak to the guys beforehand, do it, because there's no sugarcoating here. I hope you would agree with that, Ali. It's not cloak and dagger. It's not fucking smoke and mirrors. Like, we are very open about what we are going to help you to do. And I'm sure you'd agree with that. But yeah, perfect, awesome, dude.
Definitely.
It's been awesome today, and like you say, from going from 60 kilos to 150 is insane. And I'm really looking forward to the day you pull that 200. It's just going to fucking happen. It's not a choice now anymore. But mate, and also like all the weight you've gained has been amazing. And the confidence off the back of that, and also where you're going is unreal. So thanks for always coming on today. So any of the lads who watch this back, or this will go out in January. If you feel like you want to do exactly the same as Ali, all the rest of the lads that we've obviously talked to or showcased that we've absolutely smashed 2021 with, drop us a message and we'll have a chat, or drop Ali a message and he'll happily speak to you about his experience. I'm gonna start recording there. Cheers, dude. That was awesome. That's perfect.